Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, let's jump straight into it. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this episode of the Womanly Way podcast. I am your host, Lala Angela Wang. Whew. It's been a big morning, to say the least. I've actually decided to jump onto a retreat last minute with some communication with the retreat, with the person running the retreat, and I'm very fortunate that I've got a good relationship with them. So I've asked that whether they could be a bit flexible with my situation, in terms of daycare pickup and drop off, and they were very accommodating. So that means I get to go on a retreat, away from the fam this weekend, and then I'll be driving backwards and forwards because it's only about an hour and a half driving from our place, um, backwards and forwards, so I can do the morning drop off. And thank you to Scott who's picking up George on Monday, so that just makes things a little bit easier for everybody. Um, yeah, so I'm super excited, but I think also this is really relevant to what we're going to talk about today, which is about high functioning codependency and success addiction. I will go into that in more detail, and then probably I'll tie back into my own journey. But this inspiration all started probably about a week or two ago. There's a podcast that I follow called Almost 30, run by two amazing hosts. And they were interviewing a lady by the name of Terry Cole. Terry wrote a book called Too Much, a guide to breaking the cycle of high functioning codependency. And I have to admit, like when I first read the title, so the title of the podcast was called High Functioning Codependent. High functioning codependent question mark, is this you? And I read the heading, I was like, nah, that's not me. I'm not the codependent type. That's not me. That's not me. And I resisted for so long. But universe has got a funny way of presenting things to us, as we all know, right? Literally, they have no new podcast for like a week, and this thing kept popping up on my Spotify as a new episode. I'm like, I don't need this. Stop presenting it to me. And then finally, I was like, I surrender. I'm like, okay, fine. There must be a reason why this keep jumping out at me and screaming at me and going, listen, listen, listen. All right, I'm listening. So I listened. I'm like, okay, fine. What's the harm? It's always good to understand, you know, even though it may not be relevant to me, but it's just good to understand, good knowledge. So in the spirit of learning and developing and growing, I listened. Whew, gosh, I was bawling my eyes out inside because I was driving when I was listening to this. But like in my head, there is this, oh my god, fuck moment, fuckme, fuck me moment, going, oh, it is me. It is me. And so much of it is exactly what I'm going through right now. Like sometimes when you have been in, I guess, a bit of denial, and finally the truth hit and you just hit a chord in your heart. You know that feeling? It's exactly how I felt, and that's exactly how I'm feeling. So I'm going to open up this by saying, hi, my name is Lala Angela Wang, and I am a recovering, high functioning, codependent person. Breathe in and breathe out, right? And let me explain. So, in this episode, and I haven't bought Terry's book yet. I'm about to because apparently my normal way of buying books, they don't have them. So, I'm going to have to look for other ways. I think it is on one of the major, I think it is on Booktopia in Australia, but there's a long wait. Anyway, I am going to read the book because it's very fascinating. But the definition of, and this is obviously not me quoting word by word, um, so the definition of high functioning codependent is actually very capable people, very capable people that decided that they're gonna basically take care of everything. And generally, this is out of the fear of losing control, right? So it's all about control, but it's about controlling so we don't have to feel what we don't want to feel inside of us. We don't want to feel out of control. And now that I have the chance to sit on it and reflect on it, I truly believe this is also a piece that's linked to being a recovering success addict. Right? So much of it is linked to success. And the reason that I call it high functioning is because, like, I think the common knowledge around codependency are these women that's really dependent, that's very clingy, that is sometimes like, like this delicate flower in a greenhouse, like just very weak. And I use the word weak. Please don't take offense. It's not what exactly I meant, but it's probably not the right word. But that's a word that's coming out for me. It's like for a very capable person, we'll probably look at these. We'll probably. It's not even like a traditional woman, right? It's just like those. Oh, I need help. I need you. There's a lot of need. Very needy woman. That's very clingy. And really, if we look at a lot of the successful women that we see that has, got their life together, a successful career, who knows what they want, the last word that we want to associate ourselves with is codependency. True? Just like me, when I read the heading, I'm like, codependency? No way, that's not me. It can't be me. I don't depend on anybody. I am a strong independent woman. I don't need to depend on anybody. True, 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 right? But this is the reason why they come up with this term high functioning codependency. It's actually the opposite of what we think codependency is. Okay? It's the opposite. It's the power game. It's the I want to fix you so you can turn out exactly how I wanted you to be. So I don't have to feel the pain, the grief, the uncomfortability, or I don't have to deal with when you do it wrong. I don't have to deal with the aftermath of something that you've done wrong or not done my way. So then it turned out fucked, you know. And I think this happens to a lot of capable women who are also empath. Right? For me, this has been the path that I am working on with my relationship with Scott. And this is the thing. When you're in a intimate relationship, right? And when you are the person that just goes, don't worry about it. I will take care of everything. It doesn't matter how capable your counterpart is when you first met. I can almost guarantee you, if you continue to act this way and looked after every aspect around the house and for them, they will become less capable, right? Because this is human nature. If you're looking after everything, what's the point of me doing it as well? What's the point? You're looking after everything. You don't need me. And in fact, if I am to contribute and do things for you, you will say no. How many of us does that? Can I help you? Oh, no, 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 no. I'll look after it because I don't want you to do it your way. And if everything has to be done your way, why would the other person want to contribute? Because if they do and it's not your way, they get into trouble. They get into trouble either way. So then why waste their energy in doing things? It's a reality that it took me a long time to come into terms with. And I have to admit, especially becoming a mom, it's like, I'm a mom. I know everything. Everything I do is right. Well, not really. There are other ways to do it. Not everything has to be done my way. Yes, it may not be as efficient. Yes, it may be a slightly different outcome. But hey, kids are tough. George is tough, right? They'll figure it out. And that's why I linked it back to this retreat. Um, if it was even a year ago, I probably wouldn't have asked to see if the retreat leader was able to allow some flexibility for me. I wouldn't even ask Scott to finish work a bit earlier on a Monday so I can go on this retreat. Because it was a last minute decision, the initial thought was, I won't do it because it's selfish for me to ask Scott to take days off and then look after George. But then what about my needs, right? What about we're all adults here, we can all work things out? And the reality is, this has been the biggest piece that I have been working, besides my health, this has been the biggest piece that I have been working on in the last 12 months, is to really have this honest discussion with myself and say, hey, I know the relationship between Scott and I has shifted since we become parents. What part have I got to play in this? We neither of us are going anywhere. So what can I do to improve our relationship, to become a better partner, a better mom in life? So I don't feel so stressed. I don't feel so angry. I don't feel so pissed off when things are not done my way. Right? Because this is what's happening. And I think a lot of female listeners will relate. When we have resentment in us, and this is another topic we can talk about another day, about resentment and expectations, because I truly believe we need to have expectations. And Scott used to believe that we don't need to have, we shouldn't have expectations of people, but I truly believe that we need to have expectations of ourselves, of others, of a certain standard, right? But there's a phase where the standard is either unattainable, unrealistic, or too selfish. In my case, it's all of the above. Especially if you are an individual has got that is recovering or has got issues with success addiction, it's highly likely that you got very high standards. But at the same time, it's also highly likely you have the same standards for people around you. And if you're high functioning, that also means you're probably very productive and you're probably very effective in doing things. Like you're quick, right? But that same standards shouldn't apply to everybody in our lives. And that standard certainly should not apply in a way to make us feel safe. Okay, so there's a few things, a few layers that we need to break down on. I'm just trying to feel into what I want to cover first. Let's go into this matter of feeling safe first. And we talked about it in previous episodes, right? A lot of the times that, especially female, what's most important for us is to feel safe and grounded and centered. And when we feel unsafe, we often go into control. Because if I can predict the outcome, and if I can have the outcome the way that I expected, then there's no surprise. Then I can feel like I'm in control. Then I feel safe. So quite often, us being perfectionistic, us being pedantic, and us asking for things to be done our way, and us saying, don't worry about it, I'll do it myself because I can do it better, it's actually coming from a wound of not feeling safe. So, one of the biggest things that I've been working on is how do I lean back, allow things to get messy, and still feel safe in my body. Because I know when I don't feel safe, I become very controlling and I become angry, right? Because things don't turn out my way and I feel out of control. And my emotion when I feel out of control is anger, is blame. And that's not the side of me that I love to see. I've learned to accept that part of me and have compassion towards that part of me. But at the same time, there's room for improvement, right? And that is never the fault of the person that we are with, that we're blaming towards. And that's the reality. The reality is what we need to work on is leaning back more, relax. And sometimes what we need to tell ourselves is to talk to our inner child and go, hey, it's okay, you're safe. You still have a roof over your head. You got this environment. Yes, it's not perfect the way that you want it, but you're safe. And what I started doing as well is one of the things that I hate is being late. Is when George is not organized, when things are not organized, and when the house is a mess. But what I start to learn to do is I'll do what's within my control, and whatever makes me angry, I will leave it and go, hey, is that the end of the world? Are people going to die? Are we going to be not okay? Are we going to get sick if, let's say, what's an example? Yes. I'm going to prerequisite this by saying I don't use these examples as blame anymore, but these are real examples, right? So, for example, we've got a Brita water filter. Scott has got this habit of leaving the water filter underneath. So I double filter my water. I've got a Amway water filter that kills all the bacteria, and then the Brita actually it filters any chemicals and minerals. So the Amway filter is connected to our kitchen sink tap. We'll put the jug underneath, the Brita jug underneath the filter, collect the water, put it back. I used to call Scott half done dad because he would do things halfway. He would fill up the water and leave the filter in the sink. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Right? That pisses me off. It still pisses me off every single time. But now I'm just like, okay, fine. I'll pick it up, put it back. If I don't feel like it, I'll leave it there. But if I leave it there, is that the end of the world? No. Does it give me the cringe? Yes, because I hate it, right? I just think, it's not the ideal place to put it. And why would you do it? It's in the way. Pick it up, put it on the bench. That's it. Also, sometimes I think the sink is disgusting and just leave it in it. Anyway, let's not go into that. Um, but I ask myself now, is it the end of the world? Like, are we gonna die? Is the water really gonna get contaminated? No, no, no. Okay, reptilia brain. It's okay. We're not in danger. We're not being chased by an animal. We are safe. Take a deep breath. Relax. Let it go. That's all, right? It's not the end of the world. The house is a mess. Is it the end of the world? No. But this is what I do though. Because I desire beautiful spaces, because I desire comfort, this is my Taurus in me. And if you look at my 13 sign sidereal chart, my rising is in Taurus, right? So a lot of my personalities and characteristics is a true Taurus. I love comfort. I love beauty. And so what I started doing is I started to create my little corner of beauty at home. Scott can have his mess, but so we've got a lounge. Scott's got his recliner on his side, and then I've got my chase on my side. I make sure whenever I need that piece, I clean up my chase in my corner. I make sure that I get an undisrupted view to my herbal garden, which is now destroyed by caterpillars. So I need to replant it. Make sure that I have these spaces where I can feel at peace, I can rest, I can recuperate my energy, and that it's just me. And I infuse it with all of my frequencies, my energy that I desire. So it becomes my healing space. I get to be in that bubble. And I learn to block out everything else, all the mess around outside of my chase area, that 1.5 by 1 meter area is outside of my control. My job is to be in control in my own space. Doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is, as long as I can feel safe and cocooned in it and feel at peace. Since I started doing that, I then negotiate the boundaries around it. Like the other day, Scott was doing the cat litter on the balcony. And so we've got a little hanger that hangs our washing. He pushed the washing literally between, so where the balcony door is and where my planter is, he pushed it in front of the planter, which meant when I sit on my little chase, it's blocking my beautiful view. So I said to him, look, understand you need to move it out of the way, but can you do me a huge favor? Because it's very important to me to have my peace and enjoy my view, enjoy the fruit of my labor of the beautiful garden that I've created. Can you just make sure this is moved outside of view? Like move it to the other side of the balcony. And that was it. We negotiated it. And, with men, sometimes we may need to communicate it a few more times. And if he's still doing it after a few times, we'll recommunicate it again. Right? And so what I realized was if I continue to do everything and look after everything and say, I've got it, I've got it, then he will not get it. This all came from, if you go back to a couple of episodes ago, we talked about how it's actually my fault that, you know, Scott's not doing everything that I wanted. Right? And that took a lot of gut and responsibility. But it all came from the question I asked him, like, well, why can't you do this? How hard is it for you to remember to do this? And he's like, well, because you always look after it. That was like a in my brain, it was a major aha moment. It was a major aha moment that because I continue to look after everything so I can feel in control and safe, I have actually made a very capable man incapable. And I say this with the kindest compassion and love towards Scott. He's not incapable. He's incapable in my judgmental eyes because I have done everything and I want everything done my way. Because my reptilia brain is like, if things are not done my way, the world is gonna fall apart and we're all gonna die. And that is not true. Right? That is not true. George is not gonna die. He's gonna be fine. Our cat's not gonna die. He's gonna be fine. Scott, he'll be fine any day. And me, I'll be fine. Right? But the truth is, there's so much healing that needed to be done. Deep breath again, right? It's actually what we need to heal with our inner child. It's actually what we need to heal with our maiden, because there are wounds, there are people who has let us down, and the reason that we are success addicts is because a couple of things. One, we want to prove to the world that we're successful. Two, at some stage in our life, we were made to believe that is the only way to survive because no one else can be trusted. Right? The reason that we are successful is because we believe that's the only way of survival. It's a matter of life or death. So we push to burn out. And then what? And I'm like, oh man, I knew I can't trust anybody. This is why I'm so tired, because no one can be reliable. I can't rely on anybody. I have to do everything. And then you build up more resentment, more everything. What if you just go like, hey, I'm a normal human being, can't do it. Can't do it. I can't do it anymore. Simply can't. Don't want to, don't feel like it, incapable of doing it. And this is the key word. People with success addiction and people that are high functioning codependent, the word that we hate the most is incapable. Because that rendered us useless. That's the last thing we want. Right? Have you ever experienced when somebody, like a friend, called you and they were literally just ranting and saying, hey, this has happened? Actually, typical example, I have a friend who called me and said, hey, I've got this interview coming up, looking for a job. What's your thought? I not only gave her the thought, I also reach out to somebody else that I know that could be looking for somebody, and I made it my job to make sure I tee them up. And she goes to the interview, she sent me her CV and all the things. But then she came back and go, actually, that's not what I want. You know what I felt? I felt disappointed. I felt like, I'm like, I'm helping you, how ungrateful you are, blah, 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 blah. Is it her fault? Is it my friend's fault for not accepting this offer? Or is it my fault for wanting to fix things? It's actually my fault for wanting to fix things because she didn't ask me for help. I feel like I have to rescue everybody. I have to help everybody. I feel like it's my job, my project, my responsibility. It actually isn't. And the reason I felt like it's my job, my responsibility, my project is because I didn't want to feel. For me, job security is important because I've got a family. And in some ways, my job still defines me, right? It's a part of me. And I feel so uncomfortable. I feel so uncomfortable when someone's like, I need to look for a job. I feel so uncomfortable when I feel like I don't have a foundation, when I don't have enough savings for a rainy day. One of my biggest fear is to run out of money. That is my biggest fear, to run out of money, to be in debt, and to not have a roof over my head and to lose everything. So even talking about it now, my voice is trembling, right? Side note, I've actually learned that's because my Lilith, which is the dark moon on my astrology chart, is actually in um, my eighth house, which is all the taboo, tax, debt, money, other people's money. Um, so that's a big thing for me. And the reason that I want to help people with that is because that gets me out of my uncomfortability, right? If I can be in control of my not only my own destiny but other people's destiny, that I don't ever have to deal with this topic. Can you see how entrenched it is? And from a success addict, it's like, well, everybody has to be successful. What do you mean you don't want to do this? You do whatever it takes to get a job, to get money, to support you, to support your family, to be successful. What do you mean? So I really deeply realized that in myself. I am a little bit better now, but I'm still recovering. I'm still recovering. And really, high functioning codependency doesn't just relate to your intimate partner, it relates to all the people in your life, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your friends. We just want to, like, on the surface, it's like we just want to help. We just want to help you make your life better. But in so many other ways, we're actually enabling people. Enabling is the definition of enabling. Now, I haven't checked the dictionary. I know Scott would say, well, is that a dictionary definition? Probably not. But my definition of enabling is essentially making someone feel that they're incapable. Um, that they either go to freeze, they or they flee, or they ignore, they put their head in the sand because they don't want to deal with it anymore. Right? Because our control is so forceful, it's just easier to do things our way. It's just easier to not do things so they don't get the blame, so they're not wrong. Like, you know. So, really, the harsh reality is it is our fault. But at the same time, I'm not doing this episode to just say, hey, it's all your fault, fix it. I'm sitting here going, I'm going through this right now. I'm still recovering. I think it's a lifelong journey. And I'm getting better at it. And here are some of the things that I have been doing to recover from this. And this is quite often genealogically as well. If you look at your family, there's probably a tendency of high functioning codependency. You can probably see it. Like, I can, looking back, I can see it in every single female in my family up the bloodline, both my mum's side and my dad's side, right? So the gift is that if we get to heal this in this lifetime, we're not only just healing in ourselves, we're healing it for the generations before us and the generations after us. Essentially, we're healing this generations of wound of wanting to fix things so we feel good. And the truth is, we don't have to, right? If we can heal ourselves, and feel comfortable in our own skin and understand that there are going to be things outside of our control in life, but our job isn't to fix them. Our job is to be the best version that we are in order to support other people to be the best version that they are. And by us fixing everything, nobody benefits from it because we get all the negative emotions and feelings and we get resentment, and our counterpart will not grow and learn and become the best version of them. We are essentially robbing them of opportunities, of growth opportunities. That is so horrible, right? It sounds so horrible. It is horrible. By us trying to prove that we are capable to ourselves and to the world, we are robbing other people of their own life experiences and opportunity to grow. So you're not actually doing them any favor. You're taking away the life lessons that are meant to learn. And if you want to talk about karma and reincarnation, what you're doing is essentially making them come back again and again and again and relearn those lessons because you took those lessons away from them. How dare you? Well, I did. Right? So there's been so much realization listening to this podcast. For any of you that are interested, I would highly recommend that you go and seek out the book and listen to the podcast and go and look at Terry Cole and her information online. I absolutely loved it. It was eye opening. Obviously, I needed to come to terms with it and be honest with myself. Um, and I really, the purpose of me sharing this is really to show you that it is okay. It is okay. And, there is such a thing. And if you have been feeling frustrated for people around you and you're like, well, why is everybody, not doing their part? Why am I always the one that's doing more? My mom used to say, the more capable you are, the more that you have to do. And I'm starting to not believe in it anymore. I think the more capable you are, the more work that we need to do. The more capable we are, the more work that we need to do to heal our inner child, our inner maiden, so that we don't send out the energy of I'll take care of everything, I'll fix everything. Because it's mentally, emotionally, and physical exhausting, and we certainly cannot continue our lives that way. Especially if you are a female, that you're meant to be running your life in a feminine way. It really is against our natural flow. And really, it's the I believe that's the major cause and trigger of burnout and success addictions and all the mental health challenges that we have in this modern day. So, with that in mind, I hope you enjoy this episode. I hope you enjoy this discussion. My brain is going like, what else can I do? What else can I do to recover from this? What else can I do to create a better life for my family? And how can I be a better person and no longer be this high functional codependent person that essentially is egocentric, right? And how can I help people around me to grow and give them back their power and their opportunity and not fix everything because it's win-win. I win because I have more energy back. I get to focus on my own lane and do my own thing. And they win because they get to be in control of their own life, their own destiny. It gives them the power back and empowers them. and make them better people. A lot to think about, isn't it? So I'm going to leave you to think about that and ponder over. Um, and if you feel, all the emotions right now, that's completely normal and that's okay. If you need some support, please feel free to reach out. All my contact information are in the show note below. Love you all so, so, so much. I will talk to you all later. See you next time. Bye.